my wife and I, we run a commercial audio-visual business. We've been at it for 4 years. Our 2024 revenues were $2.1 million, and we have 10 full-time employees, including ourselves.
Good for you. Well done.
Thank you very much. So our question is, everybody in our business, all our competition and people who do like businesses have their technicians, which we have 4 of them, running around in company trucks. So what we do is we put our technicians drive their own vehicles, and then they get on the clock after 30 minutes on the road. So they get some extra time, as they're driving to their locations. But we just hired a guy, and one of the big sticking points was, hey, you guys don't do company vehicles. What's up with that? So we just need some guidance from you.
Okay. The first comment that pops into my head before anything else is someone that I'm hiring to be a tech does not set my business policy. Okay. That's
Absolutely.
He's like, well, everybody else does, which is a really good reason to not do anything. Right. So let's just start there being a contrarian. Now, but then let's just think about the business aspect of this. Okay, so what is it costing you? Or are your people, how are you reimbursing them for the wear and tear on their car and the fuel on their car?
We are not directly reimbursing them for that. Just say, for instance...
You're just giving them 30 minutes on the clock every day.
Yeah.
I guess it's about an hour because it's before and after, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. So they get 1 hour's wage almost every day.
So what is that?
That ends up being, let's just say, $25 a day, $125 a week, a little bit less than $5,000 a year.
Okay, all right, and that they're supposed to cover their fuel and the loss in value on their car for the extra miles they're putting on it for $5,000 a year.
That is correct.
It's probably costing them more than that.
Okay.
Do we have any idea how many miles?
Wow.
No, you never tracked it.
No.
Yeah, because that's the actual thing. If it's 2 miles a day, that's one thing. If it's 100 miles a day, it's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Because let's think about it. If I'm using my car and I'm putting extra miles on it, and the miles are substantial, it is causing the value of the car to go down. Agreed?
That is correct.
If it's just the equivalent of having driven it to work and it's not much miles at all, then it's a break even. Then they're actually putting money in their pocket if 5,000 buys enough gas to do the deal, which it should. So if they're not running many miles, it might be okay. If they're running a lot of miles, you're probably costing the employee money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
And then based on that, I'm going to look at it, and I'm either going to increase what I'm paying them, and then I've got to compare that. So let's say right now you're $5,000 a year out of pocket on this, and let's say you doubled that and you were $10,000 a year out of pocket. Or you buy a used van to put their gear in for $20,000. In 5 years, it's worth $5,000 from the miles you put on it, and you got a company sign on the side of it, and you've got repairs and mileage on it, and you've got gas going into it. Is that going to cost you more than $10,000 a year? Probably not much more than that. That's probably about what it is. So you could kind of run the numbers out and say, okay, if we bought a van and we run it this, and you kind of take some educated guesses at the actual miles, and you say, all right, we're going to buy a used van. We're going to a nice one, but used, and we're going to put a company logo on the side of it like the competitors do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a rolling billboard. That's helpful, but not really going to make you much money. But then, but it's $10,000 out of pocket. Now the employee is not being inconvenienced. Now the employee might like to be inconvenienced if they're getting more money in than it's costing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you got to figure out, are you really costing them money? You got to do a little bit more analysis than you and I did here on the phone. But I kind of think if they're doing, I mean, you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, so they're pretty well all over the greater Cincinnati area, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of think you're costing them money.
Okay.
I mean,
what
I don't
about
know.
Liability?
I'm sorry?
What about liability? I know you're not a lawyer, but
no, thank God. And see, you and I are going to like each other yet. But anyway, I don't think you're liable. They're using their car; it's their liability, their insurance and their liability. There's been some stuff pop up in the old days, like if people are doing Uber or they're delivering Domino's Pizza, some of their personal insurance policies won't cover them while doing that.
Yeah.
And so if they were doing company business or if they were doing commercial activity with a normal personal policy, not a business policy, some of those insurance companies have denied claims if you're delivering pizza or doing Uber and had a wreck because you're making money. You're doing a commercial endeavor and you don't have a commercial insurance policy. So there's been some of that happen out there. I've seen some case studies I've read on that kind of stuff. I've not heard of it being widespread in a long time, but I have heard about that. So obviously, if you put your truck on the road, yeah, you're liable. But your LLC that owns your company probably would own the truck. So that keeps your personal assets sheltered, which is why you have an LLC on your company. But I don't know about liability with the employees driving their own. I'm more concerned that the guy mentioning it coming in, he doesn't set policy. We said that. But he might be doing a little math and going, okay, I took this job. I got a raise, but I'm also going to lose a little money over here, but I still wanted the job anyway. And he kind of did the analysis that you and I just did, possibly. And so I don't want it to be costing you talent. And I kind of like your tools, all the tool costs you have being in your truck. Because tools, they grow legs, as you know. And they might grow more legs if they were in someone's personal vehicle than if they were in my truck. So that's a consideration as well. What's the tool budget on these things? And does that change if you shift to company vans? So I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's egregious either way, but I think I would do, since you're asking about it, I think I'd get down in the weeds a little bit. Let's do a little bit of actual math and try to estimate what we're really costing the employee. If they're driving a $20,000 car and they put an extra 10,000 miles a year on the car, what does that devalue the car? What's their gas bill on that? What's their oil change on that? Throw a few dollars in there for some extra repairs that they wouldn't have without the extra miles, and then let's see if that's $5,000. I got a feeling it's more than that. So I got a feeling they're not making money on this. They're probably losing money on you. Sometimes people driving Uber, by the way, are losing money while they're driving Uber because they're taking a $52,000 car and running miles up on it, and they hadn't thought about what they're doing to the value of that car while they give somebody a $37.46 ride each.